Welcome back to Global Movie Recaps. Today we are going through a 1995 Hollywood movie called Embrace of a Vampire. This movie is about love, lust, trust, and immortality. When a vampire finds his true love reborn again, he must make a move to earn her heart. But he is fighting an age-old enemy, time. Spoilers ahead, watch out. Like and subscribe. An old vampire is writing his journal, reminiscing about times when he was immortal. He recollects the love of his life. She rides on a horse and visits him every day. She is a maid to royalty, she is also a virgin, and he a nobleman. At the end of the day, they would meet in their secret place and make out. The nobleman loves her very much. She departs every morning. The two are yet to consummate their love. On one fateful day, the nobleman is visited by vampiric sirens and witches. They steal his virginity and poison him with spells and magic. He is turned into a vampire and put into a long slumber. He doesn't grow old, but he has to bear the pain of loneliness without his one true love. After having drank enough blood to fill 1,000 lakes, the vampire senses the return of the soul of his one true love. She has returned to life. She has taken rebirth in this world, in the very college where the vampire resides. He has finally found her, but there is a catch. If he doesn't transform this virgin into a vampire within 3 days, he will fall asleep. He'll enter into another long and eternal slumber. The virgin also has to accept the vampire of her own will. He claims this virgin has another love, and the vampire is prepared to put doubts in their minds and make her love the vampire. He will make her want the vampire. She will get eternal life in return. He makes a resolve that he will destroy anybody who stands in his way. In the next scene, we meet Charlotte, our protagonist, the virgin that the vampire keeps referring to. She is an ardent Catholic who has been raised in a convent. She is an innocent, God-loving girl amidst the steamy and slutty college-going crowd. As she wakes up, she hears the voice of the vampire calling for her. She walks away from her room, ignoring the telephone ringing. She walks towards the tower where the vampire resides. As she walks, we hear Charlotte's boyfriend leave a note over the phone saying that he is worried about her and will come over to meet her. Charlotte, in a hypnotized state, walks towards the tower to meet the vampire. She is not herself. Charlotte and the vampire come face to face, but he doesn't do anything to her. He kisses her in the neck. He claims he can't just reach out and take her. He claims she must desire him from her heart, only then can he truly transform her. He gives her time to see how fragile her love for her boyfriend is. He then gives her his amulet. This is the amulet of the Ankh, a symbol of eternal life in ancient Egypt. We then see Chris, Charlotte's boyfriend, arrive at the dorm. He sees Charlotte on the ground, fallen in front of the hostel. He takes her to her room and puts a warm blanket and sleeps beside her. The amulet is left on the ground. The next day, they wake up together, where Chris reminds him that she was outside and he had to bring her in. Charlotte says that she was dreaming about all of that. They share a kiss, and when Chris tries to make a move on her, Charlotte avoids it. She is a strict and chaste Catholic and wants to avoid intercourse before marriage. In the alleyway, they meet Nicole, Charlotte's classmate. The same night, while Charlotte is asleep, the vampire whispers into her ears. He says that love is a curse, it weakens her soul. He enters the room and returns the amulet. He undresses her, he kisses her on the neck to tempt her, she moans and struggles, but all of a sudden she wakes up from her dream. The next day, her friend Nicole introduces her to Eliza, a slutty college mate who is proud of who she is. Eliza makes fun of Charlotte for being chaste. In the corridor of their hostel, they come across a guy coming out of their college mate's room, and a moment later, Sarah, the girl they are talking about, comes out of the room as well. Eliza remarks on how slutty Sarah is, and Charlotte defends her. Eliza says that the campus virgin is defending the campus nympho. That evening, while getting ready for a party, Charlotte is unable to find her cross, the one that Chris, her boyfriend, gifted her. They try to look for it, and Nicole finds the amulet that the vampire had gifted Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't know how it ended up here in the waking world from her dreams. Nicole asks what kind of a dream she had dreamt, to which Charlotte says she dreamt of a vampire who gave this to her as a proclamation of love. Nicole suggested that she should explore the field and look at new flings apart from Chris. Charlotte dismisses this. Nicole makes Charlotte wear the amulet and they head to the party. At the party, Nicole ditches Charlotte for a fling of hers. A college mate at the party tries to flirt with Charlotte. He compliments her amulet, and he explains that it is an ancient Egyptian symbol for eternal life. Eliza notices Charlotte talk to the guy and takes the guy away from her. Meanwhile, Charlotte gets into a state of trance and walks to the terrace, where she notices the same vampire. Charlotte asks what the vampire is doing here. She says she has seen him in her dreams. Charlotte asks him as to why he is haunting her. The amulet glows up as he approaches. He notices blood on her hands and restrains himself from drinking it. They kiss intensely, but Nicole interrupts all of a sudden. Nicole says that she wants her to meet someone, and the four of them go to a shady place to make out. Nicole introduces Charlotte to a rando, and when the rando tries to hit on her, Charlotte rejects his advances. So he forcefully tries to make a move on her, and the vampire comes to her aid. The vampire bites the rando. He then bites Nicole and makes her a vampire too. He commands that Nicole should keep Charlotte safe and her virginity intact. Meanwhile, Chris has dreams about Charlotte having sex with the vampire. He wakes up and calls Charlotte. He asks if she is fine. They speak for a while. Chris then heads to a local bar as he is unable to sleep. He meets the vampire there, who plants seeds of doubt in him. The vampire asks Chris what if his love is spending her time with someone else. He asks if Chris trusts his girlfriend even when she is not with him. This disturbs Chris. The vampire claims it is hard to love someone when there is doubt. Chris leaves the pub. At the same time, Charlotte dreams of Chris being with another woman. She dreams of Chris making love to another woman. The vampire does have a way to get into people's head. The next day is the last day for the vampire before he gets into his eternal slumber. It also happens to be the birthday eve of Charlotte. She turns 18 the next day. The same morning, when Charlotte is sitting on a bench pondering, she comes across her slutty senior Sarah. Sarah is a photographer who is taking pictures of Charlotte. Sarah and Charlotte converse about college life. Sarah asks if Charlotte wants to see her work. She takes her back to her room. Her room looks like a photo studio, with several lenses, a light setting, and several of her work hanging on her wall. Sarah offers Charlotte cigarettes. She smokes it. Sarah takes Charlotte's photos. She makes her pose for her pictures. She makes her sit on the bed, and Sarah takes her photos. Sarah makes Charlotte take off her shirt, and she opens the button to make it a little revealing. Charlotte becomes uncomfortable, but Sarah compliments her to make her feel better. Sarah takes off Charlotte's clothes and makes a move on Charlotte. She kisses her on the neck, and she kisses her on the lips. Charlotte suddenly becomes conscious of this and heads out of the room. In the next scene, we learn that Chris, who had plans for Charlotte that night, is dejected when Charlotte calls him and informs him that she can't make it to his place that night. This upsets Chris. That day, when Charlotte is heading to the classroom, she comes across Eliza, who mocks Charlotte's presence in Sarah's room. They also wonder where Nicole has gone. In the classroom, when the professor is explaining a Botticelli's painting, the vampire arrives to disturb Charlotte. She asks him to leave her alone, and she shouts, disturbing the whole class. The vampire explains that he needs her help to stay in this world and not enter the long eternal slumber. Charlotte shouts again and disturbs the class. She is asked to move out of the class. That evening, Charlotte has a very steamy dream about having sex with Chris, Sarah, and the vampire. She is shaken by this. When she wakes up, Chris is with her. Chris asks if she has any problem. They both think they are lying to each other, and they have a fight. Charlotte asks Chris to leave. Chris is upset and heads to a pub with his friend. A very hot woman approaches Chris at the bar, and she asks him to buy her a drink. They dance as she tries to seduce him. Meanwhile, Charlotte searches for Nicole, but can't find her, so she heads to the party to find her. During the party, Eliza and her friend roofie Charlotte's drink. Charlotte is completely drugged. She notices everyone making out, as if it is an orgy. Suddenly the vampire comes in and bites one of them. In that shock, she leaves that place in a hurry. On the other end, the woman is successfully seducing Chris. She takes him to an alleyway and they start making out, but Chris becomes guilty realizing what he is doing and leaves. He realizes this was the vampire in disguise as a beautiful woman. He realizes that Charlotte might be in danger and heads towards her. Meanwhile, back at the hostel, Charlotte and Eliza pick a fight and the vampire arrives at the scene. Then the vampire smashes Eliza's head against the door and kills her. He beckons Charlotte in a sweet whispering voice and she is attracted like a magnet to the vampire. She arrives at the top of the tower as Chris follows her. Chris arrives at the top as he notices the vampire embracing and kissing Charlotte. The vampire threatens to kill Chris if he doesn't leave. He attacks Chris. Chris collapses to the ground. As the vampire makes his final assault on Charlotte, she utters Chris' name thrice and the vampire realizes that Charlotte is still in love with Chris and leaves them alone. He is unable to hypnotize her to fall in love with him. The vampire accepts defeat and moves away. Charlotte wakes up from her trance and embraces Chris. The devastated vampire, meanwhile, falls into deep slumber again.